A war that took place 500 years ago resulted in the exile of the Monkey King, who had his powers blocked by Buddha. Now he must risk himself in mortal battles, together with his faithful friend, to try to get them back. Today we will recap the story of the 2015 movie, Monkey King, Hero is Back. Hundreds of years ago, there was a Monkey King known as Sun Wukong. His magical powers were unparalleled, so much so that he alone was able to wreak great havoc in the Heavenly Palace, arousing the fury of the Jade Emperor. The Heavenly Army was sent to fight him, but the Monkey King managed to destroy all his enemies. However, Buddha did not tolerate his defiance and imprisoned Sun Wukong in the Mountain of the Five Elements. 500 years had passed and some mountain dwellers were returning home with their goods. Among them was a young couple with their newborn son. They were disciples of the Monkey King and believed that one day he would return. While climbing the mountain, the group was attacked by vicious trolls who intended to eliminate them. The man asks his wife to run away with the boy while he tries to hold off those creatures, but is soon defeated. Trapped, the woman decides to make a drastic decision. She jumps off the cliff with the child in hopes of saving her son. Sometime later, while stopping to drink water in a river, an old monk named Fei Ming finds the baby floating on a piece of wood. He takes the boy and decides to raise him as his own son. From that moment on, the child accompanies the old man on his entire journey, facing dangerous forests, strong storms, and even the harsh winter. During a puppet show, the boy, who has been given the name Lure, is caught interrupting the show. The boy manages to escape and runs through the streets of the village, tormenting the villagers, until he comes across his master. Fei Ming wanted to teach Lure to be a great monk, but his real desire was to learn kung fu to fight monsters. Still, the old man insists on telling the boy that his mission is to save all creatures from torment. His lessons were based on meditation, reading the scriptures, and begging for alms. That night, the village is invaded by trolls who are there looking for children for a sacrificial ceremony. One of the monsters is carrying a little girl in his arms and intends to take her along with the other children, but Lure attacks him and manages to get the girl back. The boy meets his master and together they try to hide from the creatures, but are eventually discovered. The old man drops a statue on the troll's head and asks Lure to run away with the child. He runs across the roofs of the houses and ends up falling off the mountain. As he slides down a tree trunk, the monsters band together to capture him. When he reaches the edge of a cliff, the boy almost loses the child, but with the help of a basket he manages to catch her. Together, they fall down the mountain and the trolls do not give up pursuing them. When they think they have finally captured the girl, they discover that what was inside the basket was actually a beehive, and are attacked by a swarm of bees. The boy spent the entire night hiding with the child, waiting for dawn to return to the village. While climbing back up the mountain, he was helped by moles, who were considered to be goddesses of the earth. Since they have spent the entire night without eating, the boy takes the opportunity on the way to collect some fruit. However, at that moment, he spots a huge footprint and soon realizes that there is a monster hiding nearby. Soon after, the troll appears and chases the boy again. Lure enters a small hole in the mountain and tries to hide inside. While exploring the place, he finds a mountain of ice, and wedged into it was something similar to a human hand. The boy touches the hand and, as he does so, the ice begins to melt. Suddenly an explosion occurs and several rocks fall on Lure's and the girl's bodies. Minutes later, the monsters manage to enter the mountain and the boy clings to a chain in an attempt to escape them. Just then, the Monkey King emerges from the debris of the explosion. His arms were chained, and he uses this to his advantage to get rid of the trolls. Sun Wukong stares at the boy in an attempt to find out if he is a threat, but soon realizes that those two are just harmless children. Then he leaves, and Lure runs after him. The monkey jumps between the trees and is extremely happy to finally be free after 500 years stuck on that mountain. However, when he tries to use his powers, the chain on his arm begins to glow, causing terrible pain. That seal had been placed by Buddha, in order to suppress the powers of the Monkey King. Lure watches him from afar and soon realizes that this is the great Monkey King. Noticing that the boy was a real big fan, Sun Wukong asks him to stop following him. However, the boy does not leave him alone. Even as he climbs the trees, Lure catches up with him and asks him a series of questions about how his powers work, and especially about Buddha. The monkey is about to go mad with so many questions, but soon his torture session is interrupted by the Mountain King, sent by Buddha to prevent Sun Wukong from leaving his exile. The monster throws several rocks at the monkey, but even without his powers he still has great fighting skills and manages to dodge them. The Mountain of Stones gets angry and strikes a blow at the Monkey King, who then flees. His plan is to remove the seal from the monster's back and turn him back into a heap of stones. When he reaches the edge of the mountain, Sun Wukong is cornered and must hold off the creature's blow. Otherwise, he would be knocked down. Upon witnessing this situation, Lure puts the basket with the girl on the ground and climbs on the monster's back to remove the seal. At that moment, the monkey manages to knock the mountain of rocks off the cliff, but the thing grabs hold of its chains and takes Sun Wukong along with it. However, before they are all sent into the abyss, Viewer manages to pull out the seal and the pile of stones explodes. The boy falls down the mountain, and when he wakes up, he finds a huge fish being roasted in a fire. Next to him is the Monkey King and the girl he fought so hard to save. The boy thanks Sun Wukong for helping them and explains how they ended up on the Mountain of the Five Elements. While the child was enjoying the fish, Lure notices the presence of a mysterious being that was hiding among the trees. He explores the surroundings and finds a temple. Upon entering the abandoned construction, the boy is surprised by a supposed statue that begins to sneeze due to the dust in the place. Upon being discovered, the creature runs and steals the roasted fish. The boy arrives soon after and informs the Monkey King that the Buddha statue has come to life. However, a few seconds later, the imposter's body begins to transform and reveals his true form. The chubby pig challenges the Monkey King to a duel, doubting that he really was who he claimed to be. Sun Wukong holds him by the nose and throws him away. At that instant, he remembers the moment he was thrown out of the sky, and we find out that that pig is actually Emperor Jade. The Monkey King takes advantage of the distraction to leave, and the pig turns into a cat to sniff him out. They find the monkey, but the Emperor tries to escape so as not to have to fight him again. He transforms himself into a replica of Lure to confuse him, but soon his body returns to normal, and by accident he ends up throwing the boy away. At that moment, a flying dragon approaches him and almost devours him, but soon Wukong arrives in time and punches the monster in the face, who eventually gives up the fight and leaves. Lure follows the animal and sees the most beautiful landscape he has ever seen. He reveals that he dreams of being able to fly under the clouds, so he can find his master and bring the girl back to the village. The Monkey King says that the day he is strong enough, he can do anything. From then on, the four adventurers continue on their way together, while the monk Fei Ming clears the forest in search of Lure. After walking for a few days, they find a house on top of the mountain and head there. A couple was waiting for them and the woman goes to the entrance to attend to them. However, the emperor is in a hurry to go to the bathroom and knocks the door down on her. The boy looks for the villagers while the pig looked for a place to relieve his stomachache. Soon Wukong arrives shortly thereafter and the host appears. Lure asks if they can spend the night in that place, but the man can barely answer him. Before he even introduces himself, the pig takes the opportunity to wipe out the house's entire stock of food. When the woman finally manages to get up, she is extremely helpful to the travelers and assures them that they are welcome to rest in her home. She guides the small group to a room where they could spend the night, but apparently the young girl didn't like that woman very much, because she starts crying desperately when she finds her. As soon as the hostess leaves, the girl stops crying and goes to sleep. The Monkey King realizes that someone is watching them and spits out a piece of his fruit, which goes through the doorway and hits the man in the eye. During the early morning hours, the emperor leaves his room and goes to the kitchen to look for more food. While stealing some fruit, his tongue gets stuck in one of the jars and the host takes the opportunity to stab him. But before he could hit the pig, the animal knocks him down and the man ends up fainting. Then the woman arrives in the kitchen and the emperor transforms himself into the man to avoid being caught in the act. In that instant, he discovers that the hostess of the house is a troll who plans to capture the Monkey King and take him to his master. The emperor tries to escape, but before he can get rid of the woman, his transformation shatters and she goes after him. However, just then Sun Wukong gives the troll a good kick in the face. As he does so, the clouds begin to move and dozens of other monsters appear in the house. They go after Lure, but the Monkey King manages to stop them from approaching the boy. He fights all those monsters at once while the pig tries to hide. The woman takes advantage of the fact that the monkey is busy to go into the bedroom and try to capture the girl. Realizing what was happening, Sun Wukong throws the pig to the second floor of the house and asks it to save the youngsters. After taking down the monster woman, they escape through the hole in the wall and run into the forest. The Monkey King manages to get rid of all the trolls at once and goes to meet his companions, but an unexpected visit could end all that adventure. Hun Dun appears and sends fire monsters to attack Sun Wukong and his friends. However, the Monkey King uses a wooden stick to eliminate them all. The trolls keep coming, but the group gets into a boat to try to escape. Not satisfied with the work of his subordinates, Hun Dun decides to attack his enemy personally. He throws blue fireballs to destroy the boat. Then he picks up the girl and throws the monkey doll into the river. Sun Wukong tries to use his power to defeat him, but since he has not yet managed to free himself from Buddha's seal, he ends up being thrown far away. Before leaving, Hun Dun sets fire to the boat and takes the child with him. The trio throws themselves into the water and manages to survive. After recovering from the attack, Lure calls the monkey to help save the girl, but soon Wukong claims he cannot help him. So Lure decides to go and save her alone. While walking through the forest, the boy meets the couple of monsters who welcomed them into their home and follows them in hiding, for he knew they would lead him to the girl. Meanwhile, the monkey was trying to force the seal off his wrist, but despite all his efforts, the metal would not break. He faints from exhaustion and, when he wakes up, he feels guilty for refusing to help the boy. He finds the Monkey King doll that belonged to Lure, which Hun Dun had thrown into the river. At that instant, he stands up and calls the pig to accompany him on his rescue mission. By this time, the ceremony was already underway and the boy had managed to infiltrate the troll hideout. He ends up being spotted by one of the monsters, but manages to lose him. The boy falls from the ceiling and gets stuck on the wooden floor. To make matters worse, the couple of monsters find him and are about to devour him, but, unexpectedly, his master appears and uses his staff to attack those freaks. The troll woman falls into the cauldron of fire and takes her partner along with her. As he tries to help the boy free himself, the wooden floor breaks and they fall in, but manage to hang on to a cage that was being used to trap dozens of young men who would be eliminated during the ceremony. They swing the cage and manage to eliminate several monsters. Then the circle breaks loose and rolls out of hiding until it reaches the edge of the abyss. From then on, there was nowhere else to run. Lure and the girl meet again and a solar eclipse begins, forming a shadow on the Earth's surface. At this moment, the ceremony was supposed to be taking place, but the unforeseen prevents Hun Dun's plans from coming to fruition. Overcome with rage, the creature grabs the boy by the neck and threatens to throw him off the cliff if he doesn't tell where the Monkey King is. Lure refuses to betray his friend and ends up being strangled. Just then, soon Wukong and the pig appear flying at the dragon. The monkey convinces the animal to help him and thus manages to arrive in time to save the boy. Lure calls his master and shows him that, indeed, the Monkey King exists. The pig emperor transforms into an even bigger creature and lunges at Hun Dun with his gun. But before he can hit him, he is transformed into a small pig. Soon Wukong prepares for the attack. He uses a rock to deflect the fireball thrown by his enemy and attacks him right away. However, the man manages to block his punch and throws the monkey away. He then flies toward the children, but even though he is wounded, the monkey does not give up the fight. He throws rocks at the monster and orders it to leave the youngsters alone. However, Hun Dun is faster and, without the monkey noticing, he hits him again. His hatred is so great that he can produce a red fireball to eliminate his enemy. A big explosion happens and both the monkey and the troll king are exhausted. Still, Hun Dun remains determined to devour those children. Soon Wukong's powers begin to awaken and the monkey finally manages to land an effective attack on his opponent. The man fights back, but this time the king manages to dodge all his attacks and knocks him under the bridge. The fighting continues and the wooden structures were being destroyed. The bridge would not hold for long, but still, neither of the two would accept to retreat. As the solar eclipse progresses, Hun Dun begins to transform into a sinister creature. Soon Wukong manages to knock him off the cliff and both he and Lure believe that the battle is over. But this was a big mistake. The king returns the doll to the boy and the climax of the eclipse takes place. At that instant, Hun Dun's mutation comes to an end and he turns into a demonic monster. The monster destroys the whole place to go after the children and soon Wukong runs to try to stop him. The monkey manages to knock the creature down, but ends up being wounded by its fire attack, which is even more powerful after the transformation. The monster then throws the monkey into the mountain and uses a giant rock to crush him. Upon seeing this, Lure hands the children over to his master and asks him to run away, while the boy goes to help his friend. For an instant, the old man tries to stop him, but ultimately just asks the young man to be careful. The boy goes to the Monkey King and asks what he can do to help him, but the animal just asks him to leave. Otherwise, he would end up dead. At that instant, the monster pushes the stone away and shatters Sun Wukong's arm. Then Lure takes a metal pipe and shoots it into its mouth. The creature becomes furious and starts chasing the boy. Meanwhile, the monkey manages to break free and runs to save the boy. Just as he was about to reach it, the monster uses one of its paws to destroy the mountain, and Lure ends up being buried by rocks. Soon Wukong desperately tries to find him, but it is too late for the boy. Enraged at losing his only friend for the past 500 years, the Monkey King is determined to recover his powers in order to avenge him. Even in severe pain, he does not give up the fight and slowly manages to access his powers. After recovering his armor, the red cape bursts into flames. From his own ear, he pulls out his golden staff and, in a single blow, is able to split the mountain in half. In the blink of an eye, he destroys the monster. At the end of the battle, the monkey hears Lure's voice calling out to him. The boy was alive, and after his injuries are treated, his dream comes true. He can fly under the clouds, cross the forest, and take all the children back to the village. So, what did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like it and subscribe